Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. When I heard about the story of 20-year-old Azsia Johnson, who was murdered on the Upper East Side allegedly by her baby daddy Isaac Agro, it really made me think about all of those young black women who get involved with Pookies. Now, many of these young black women, they get involved with these Pookies because these men make them feel a certain way. Unfortunately, many of these women don't think about the whole situation that they're getting in when they get involved with a Pookie. Now, many of your Pookies are these beta males who have usually been raised by single mothers. And many of these single mothers, they have taught these males a whole host of dysfunctional female life skills, and these boys are not equipped and ready for manhood. Yes, these girls, they're caught up in their feelings with a Pookie because he would make a cute boyfriend. However, he's not equipped and ready to take on the responsibilities of a man. And this is where many women, like your Azsia Johnson, wind up in an extremely bad situation because they are in their feelings about these guys in the short term. They're not really thinking about the whole host of problems they're going to have in the long term. Now, the Bible states that the man is supposed to be the head of the household and he's supposed to be the leader over the family. Unfortunately, most of your Pookies, they are not ready for that kind of role. And these guys, because they're stuck in a state of arrested development and they have a mental age of about 12 to about 16 years old, many of these males, whenever they run into responsibility, that's when these men start to fall apart. And that's what I believed happened here with Isaac Agro as related to Azsia Johnson. When it became time for him to be a man, this is where he fell apart because he was still in a mental age of a teenager and he was still looking to have a teenage relationship with this 20-year-old woman. This 22-year-old young man was still thinking like a teenager, thinking about having himself a fly biracial light-skinned girlfriend and only thinking about getting with this light-skinned girlfriend as she went out here and dropped the skid mark thong in order to give him sexual access. And that's all he was thinking about getting from this 20-year-old young woman. That's all he was thinking about as related to their relationship. And because that's all he was thinking about as related to their relationship, like most Pookies, that's the only thing he wanted out of the relationship was social currency that he could go out here and share with his homies, where he could sit there and brag about getting with this extremely attractive light-skinned biracial black woman. And that's all he wanted out of the relationship, because as long as he was getting the draws and had the attractive light-skinned girlfriend on his arm, everything was cool for him in his rose-colored smooth world. So when you're dealing with these Pookies, they are happy when they're getting what they want, and when they don't get what they want, what happens is that these men, they start to simmer and boil in anger. And I believe what happened here with this young mom, Azsia Johnson, is the anger she was dealing with this Pookie was when she announced she was pregnant. Once she announced she was pregnant, that's when I believe her baby daddy went and started to get angry, because he was frustrated at the whole concept of being a father, and he was frustrated about having to take on man-sized responsibilities because many of your Pookies and your Ray Rays, yes, they can go out here and be the cool guy on the street as a boyfriend, and emphasis on the word boy friend. They know how to be a boy, but when it's time to step up and become a man, that's when these men start to get upset because that's when their rose colored reality, where they can be the man and go out here and get the attention of all the other guys and get all the jealousy from the other guys for having the light skinned girlfriend. That's when the reality started to shatter for this guy. And once it shattered for this guy, that's when he started to turn on his girlfriend. Because when it comes down to the Pookie, he's cool with getting with the girls as long as they are on his arm and he's getting easy sex. But when it's time to step up and become a man, that's when your Pookie winds up falling apart. And your Pookie winds up falling apart because he doesn't have male life skills, he doesn't have male survival skills, and he doesn't know how to navigate the world as a man. Because a man who, once he finds out his girlfriend, he's not going to even have his girlfriend getting pregnant, because he's going to understand that if he wants a relationship with this woman, he is going to make this woman his wife. That's the difference between a boy and a man. A boy who is stuck in arrested development, he's looking to have a girlfriend, but a man is looking for a wife, and he's looking for a wife because he wants somebody to build a family with. So that's the big difference between a boy, which is a Pookie or a beta male, and a man. So this male, basically this Pookie, he wasn't ready for manhood, and because he wasn't ready for manhood, that's why he was getting angry, because people were looking for him to take man-sized responsibility. Unfortunately, he wanted to stay in the world where he could be a baby boy coddled by mommy and go out here and be the overgrown teenager that he wanted to be. So he wanted to remain a teenager, and this was what made him angry enough to want to assault the woman he was involved with, Azsia Johnson. He no longer saw her as a person anymore because she was no longer fitting into his fantasy where he could be the fly guy with the light-skinned girlfriend. And because he could no longer be the fly guy with the light-skinned girlfriend, he wound up participating in domestic violence and wound up allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, which led to her fleeing to a shelter on the Upper East Side. Now, the big mistake that your Azsia Johnson made was, again, making contact with this guy, and the contact that she made basically put her life in jeopardy. Now, she says she wanted her child to know her father, but that was a mistake as I see it, because this guy was a ticking time bomb, like many of these Pookies are. And many of these Pookies, once you shatter their reality and make them live in the real world, that's when they become extremely dangerous. This guy was already a danger because he was basically he had nothing to live for at this point. He had nothing to lose because he already was police were looking for him as related to domestic violence, and people on the street knew him as a woman beater. So this guy had nothing to lose. So he was not looking to build a family, and he wasn't looking to build a family because basically many of your Pookies aren't looking to build families. No, they only want you in their life so that they can get under the skid mark thong, get their taste of the atomic waste, get into the drawers, get into the bed, and be on their way. They're not interested in becoming fathers. They're not interested in becoming husbands. but she thought she could form a relationship with this guy, and he persuaded her by saying, "Oh, I've got some toys for the kids," or something like that. And they set up to meet. And sadly, as they set up to meet, sadly, Azsia Johnson wound up losing her life, and she wound up losing her life because she did not know the dangers of getting involved with a Pookie. One of the most dangerous guys in the dating scene is your Pookies, because your Pookies are beta males. They are beta males who are not ready to be men. They're stuck in a state of arrested development. They're basically like overgrown children, and like overgrown children, they cannot cope with a real world, with real people, real problems, and real conflicts. And because the Pookie cannot deal with the real world, real conflicts, and real obstacles, many of your Pookies wind up going out here and participating in going out here and beating up on their baby mamas. Some of these guys, they get angry and they beat up their baby mamas because the baby mama, they blame the baby mama for messing up their life, but they don't understand it takes two people to go out here and have a relationship. It takes two people to go out here and have sex. And when you have sex, it is not for your pleasure. That is something Madison Avenue in Hollywood tell the Pookie in all the movies and stuff. But when you have sex with someone, you are going, it's basically so that you can create the life of a child. That's something many beta males don't understand, because they have sat here and watched a lot of these movies from and stuff from Hollywood where people are just having sex for pleasure, or they sit there and they watch all of this porn and they think, oh, sex is for pleasure. They don't understand the reason for sex is to create babies, and that's where these guys get jammed up, because all they're thinking about is getting their taste of the atomic waste and clout chasing with the dudes, not understanding that once you get with this woman, you need to have a plan for how you're going to take care of the family you are creating. Because when you go out here and have sex with someone, the main reason for this is to create children. And this is something that many of your Pookies and Ray Rays don't know about, because they got a poor sex education and they got a miseducation from their mamas. So this is why your Pookies, like the one in this story, as related to the death of Azsia Johnson, your Isaac Agro, this guy really didn't understand anything about being a man. So he didn't understand that if you go out here and you get those draws, you have to be ready to take man-sized responsibility. And again, these men are not taught about the Most High and his standards for sex, because that's why he reserved sex for marriage, so that the family could be established under his order. So your Pookies out here, they really don't understand how the world works. They don't understand how the world functions, and that's why they wind up getting into dysfunctional situations like the one many people saw on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where this 20-year-old young woman wound up losing her life. And one of the reasons why she lost her life is because she got involved with a Pookie, and because she got involved with a Pookie, he wound up taking her life because he was not ready to take on the responsibilities of being a man in this life. And because he wasn't ready to take on those responsibilities of being a man, he went out here and took his anger out on the girl who he wanted to go out here and possibly chase for an extended period of time. He wanted to make it all about her, but it really was about him. He didn't understand that once you get involved with a girl or a woman, you have to be ready to lead that woman, and not just taking her out to places and having her on as arm candy. You have to be ready to take that woman on and be able to lead her and teach her and prepare her for your family. This is something many beta males don't understand, because beta males, for the most part, like Pookies, they want social currency from having a girl on their arm, but they don't understand that once you get involved with a woman, you have to set a direction for your relationship. You have to set a tone for where you want to go, and you have to set a course for where you want to take your family. Because the only reason that you should be getting involved with women is because you want to go out here and build a family. It's not about playing boyfriend and girlfriend. This is something I learned many years ago. I mean, because I used to think about the whole boyfriend girlfriend thing until the Most High told me I wasn't ready. And I decided to just stop right there. And I started to find out what things were all about. But sadly, we have 2 to 3 generations of young males out here. They wind up going out here getting involved with women. They think it's all a fantasy of dating and buying stuff and trying to impress the girl. But when it's time to take responsibility as a man, they're not ready to take on that responsibility. They get frustrated and overwhelmed. Then they want to blame the woman, and then they want to go out here and hurt the woman in extreme cases like this one. And they want to hurt that woman because they're not ready for the reality of manhood. And what's really sad is no one has taught these young men that they have to take man-sized responsibility when they get involved with women. And this whole story, again, is a tragic case of what happens when a young black girl gets involved with a Pookie. She's thinking, oh, he's cute, oh, he's funny, everything is going good because he makes me feel good. But the whole thing is that while you're feeling, you're not thinking about how dire this situation is, because this male is not ready for manhood, and because this male is not ready for manhood, he is not ready to take on the responsibilities of taking care of you when it's time for you to go out here and have a child. He's not ready for manhood, and that's what happened here, because this is a 22-year-old man who is still living like a teenager, and he's not ready to be a man. And sadly, because he wasn't ready to be a man, he became a man in crisis. And this man in crisis, again, took the life of his girlfriend. But the whole thing is that when I look at this whole situation, this just shows me why it's important for girls to have a father in their life, because a father is the first line of defense that protects his daughter from a Pookie. And when the father is there, a Pookie cannot go out here talking all of his jive talk and running his game, because most fathers, when they're there, they're going to really get into it with this guy, and they're going to let him know that, look, you're not ready for a relationship with my daughter because you're not ready to be a man. Because all this stuff about boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, a lot of these guys, they're just not ready for this. And when they're not ready for this, they don't know how to function when things go south. A lot of these guys, they get frustrated and angry, and they start getting violent because they don't understand how relationships work, and because they don't even know how to relate to people, they wind up destroying people's lives. Like in this case, where a 3-month-old girl no longer has her mother or her father and is all alone in this world. That's the sad part here about getting involved with a Pookie. He's impulsive. He doesn't think critically. He doesn't focus on the future. And because he doesn't focus on the future, he doesn't think about how his actions impact others. And because he doesn't think about how his actions impact others, he winds up making a mess of people's lives. And that's what sadly happened here. So when I look at this whole situation with, sadly, Azsia Johnson, it's a sad case of what happens when a girl gets with a Pookie. She thinks she's getting a cute guy who's street and hard, but the whole thing is this guy winds up making life hard for everyone around him, because he's still a boy, still trying to play like a man, but doesn't understand any of the nuances of manhood. Now, if you want to learn more about why these Pookies just don't know how to function in society and are not suitable for dating, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also pick up The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere.